I never thought I would be the person writing something like this, but the last month has completely destroyed the way I look at my family. I'm 36. My wife, Emily, is 34. We have one son, Noah, who is 8. Noah is the kind of kid who apologizes to the table when he bumps into it. He thanks the cashier at the grocery store twice. He once cried because he saw an old man eating alone at a restaurant and asked if we could invite him to our table. He's gentle, funny, and way too mature for his age because life forced him to be. Noah was born with a medical condition that affects his spine and legs. I won't go into every detail, but walking has always been painful for him. Some days are better than others. Some days he can move around almost like any other kid. Other days, he grips the wall just to get from his bedroom to the bathroom. For years, doctors told us there was a surgery that could significantly improve his quality of life. It wasn't some miracle cure, but it could reduce his pain, help his mobility, and give him a chance at a more normal childhood. The problem was money. Insurance covered part of it, but not enough. There were specialist fees, travel costs, time off work, rehab, equipment, and a long list of things that added up fast. Emily and I spent almost 3 years saving. We didn't go on vacations. We drove old cars. I took extra weekend shifts. Emily sold handmade candles online after work. Every birthday, every Christmas, every bonus, every tax refund, everything went into what we called Noah's Fund. By the beginning of this year, we were finally close. Not rich. Not comfortable. Just close enough that we could schedule the surgery and handle the first stage of recovery without drowning completely. My mother knew all of this. My entire family knew all of this. And that is what makes what happened so unforgivable. My mother, Diane, is 62. She has always been the family first type. At least, that's what she calls it. What it really means is that she expects everyone to bend around the person making the most noise. My younger sister, Ashley, is 31 and has always been that person. Ashley is dramatic, impulsive, and allergic to consequences. She has never had a stable job for more than 6 months. She constantly has emergencies that are somehow always someone else's responsibility. Car broke down. Mom pays. Rent is late. Mom pays. Boyfriend cheated. Everyone must drop what they're doing and comfort her for a week. I stopped enabling Ashley years ago, which made me the cold one in the family. Emily, who is usually patient with everyone, has never trusted her. She once told me, "Your sister doesn't ask for help. She hunts for weakness." I thought that was harsh. I don't anymore. 2 months ago, Ashley announced that she and her husband, Mark, were remodeling their kitchen. Not repairing. Remodeling. New cabinets. Marble countertops. Fancy lighting. A farmhouse sink. One of those fridges with a screen in the door. I remember sitting at my mother's house while Ashley showed everyone photos on her phone and said, "I just can't live with that outdated kitchen anymore. It's embarrassing." Emily looked at me across the table and raised one eyebrow. At the time, I didn't care. Ashley wasting money was nothing new. Then, 3 weeks before Noah's surgery date, we got a call from the clinic. The woman on the phone was polite but confused. She said the payment authorization for our deposit had been declined. I thought there had been a bank error. I opened our savings account. The balance was almost empty. I stared at the screen for so long that Emily asked me what was wrong. There had been a transfer of $24,700 out of the account. To my mother. For a few seconds, I genuinely thought I was having a stroke. My vision blurred. My hand went cold around the phone. I kept refreshing the app like the money would magically reappear. Emily took the phone from me and went completely silent. That scared me more than screaming would have. She whispered, "Call your mother." I did. My mom answered cheerfully. I asked her why almost $25,000 had been transferred from Noah's surgery account to her. There was a pause. Not a confused pause. A guilty pause. Then she sighed and said, "Before you get upset, you need to listen." My stomach dropped. I said, "What did you do?" She told me Ashley and Mark had run into unexpected renovation costs. Their contractor needed more money up front or he was going to walk away. Ashley was hysterical. Mom said she had planned to replace the money before we noticed. I couldn't even speak at first. Finally, I asked, "How did you access the account?" That's when she admitted that months earlier, when Emily and I were dealing with one of Noah's appointments, she had helped me deposit a check into that account. I had given her temporary access to move money from a family contribution account my grandmother had set up years ago. I forgot she still had login information. She didn't. Emily was standing next to me, shaking. I asked my mother if she understood that the money was for Noah's surgery. She said, "Of course I understand. But the surgery isn't tomorrow." I said, "It's in 3 weeks." She said, "Exactly. We have time to figure it out." We. That word made something snap in me. I told her there was no we. There was her stealing from a disabled child so Ashley could have countertops. My mother immediately got defensive. She said, "Don't you dare make it sound like that. Ashley is your sister." She was desperate. I said, "Noah is your grandson. He is in pain every day." Then my mother said something I will never forget. She said, "A kitchen is something the whole family can enjoy. Hospitals just take money and give no guarantees." Emily grabbed the phone out of my hand and screamed, "You stole from my child." My mother started crying and said Emily was being cruel. Cruel. I took the phone back and told my mother she had 24 hours to return every cent or I was going to the police. She went quiet. Then she said, "If you do that, you'll destroy this family." I said, "You already did." I hung up. The next few hours were a blur. Emily called the clinic and explained that there had been a financial emergency. I called the bank. They opened a fraud investigation, but because my mother had access, it wasn't going to be simple. I changed every password I had. I locked every account. I felt stupid. I felt sick. I felt like I had failed my son. Noah noticed something was wrong that evening. He was sitting on the couch with his dinosaur blanket and asked, "Is my surgery cancelled?" Emily started crying before I could answer. I sat next to him and told him, "No, buddy. We're going to fix it." He nodded, trying to be brave, and said, "It's okay if we can't. I can wait." That sentence broke me. An 8-year-old should not have to comfort his parents about his own pain. The next morning, my phone exploded. My aunt called first. Then my cousin. Then Ashley. Then my mother again. Apparently, my mother had already told everyone that I was threatening to have her arrested over a temporary loan. Ashley left me a voicemail saying, "You're being insane. Mom was going to pay it back. You always act like your problems are more important than everyone else's." I listened to it twice because I couldn't believe she had actually said that. Then Mark, Ashley's husband, texted me. All he wrote was, "Is this true? Did the money come from Noah's surgery fund?" I replied, "Yes. Almost $25,000. My mother transferred it to herself and gave it to Ashley for your kitchen." He didn't answer for about 10 minutes. Then he called. His voice was low and tense. He asked me to explain everything from the beginning. So I did. I told him about the surgery, the account, the transfer, the clinic, The fact that Noah had asked if his surgery was cancelled. Mark was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Ashley told me your mom was helping with the remodel because she wanted to. She said it was inheritance money." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mark said, "I'm going to handle this." I didn't know what that meant. A few hours later, Ashley called me screaming. She said I had poisoned her husband against her. She said Mark had stopped the kitchen project, demanded invoices, and was threatening to leave unless the money was returned immediately. I told her good. She said, "Do you have any idea how humiliating this is?" I said, "Do you have any idea how painful it is for my son to walk?" She told me I was being manipulative by using Noah. I hung up. That evening, my mother came to my house. Emily didn't want to let her in, but I did because I wanted to look her in the face. She stood in our living room and cried. Not quiet, ashamed tears. Big dramatic tears. The kind she uses when she wants to become the victim. She said, "I made a mistake." I said, "A mistake is putting salt in coffee. You stole medical money from your grandson." She said, "I was trying to help your sister." I said, "You chose Ashley's cabinets over Noah's legs." She flinched at that. Then she said, "You don't understand what it's like to have two children and feel torn between them." Emily, who had been silent, finally said, "No. I don't understand being torn between a child's surgery and a kitchen remodel." My mother looked at Emily like she had slapped her. Then she did the thing she always does. She tried to bring up the past. She said I had always been more stable than Ashley. That Ashley needed more help. That I had a wife, a house, a career. That Ashley had always struggled emotionally. I told her Ashley struggles because everyone keeps rescuing her from consequences. My mother said, "She's your little sister." I said, "He's my little boy." That ended the conversation. I told her she had until noon the next day to return the money. She said she didn't have it. I said, "Then sell something. Borrow it. Take it from Ashley. I don't care." She started crying again and said, "Please don't go to the police." I said, "Then return my son's money." She left. The next day, no money came. So I filed a police report. I also sent copies of everything to the bank, the clinic, and a lawyer. When my family found out, you would have thought I had burned down my mother's house. My aunt called me heartless. My cousin said I was taking things too far. My uncle said, "It's family money anyway." That one made me laugh out loud. Family money. Money Emily and I earned working nights and weekends. Money from selling furniture. Money from skipping meals out. Money from birthday checks given specifically to Noah. Money saved for 3 years while my son cried through physical therapy. But sure. Family money. Then Mark called again. He told me he had found out Ashley knew exactly where the money came from. Apparently, my mother had told Ashley the truth before transferring it. Ashley had said, "They'll get over it. They always figure things out." Mark sounded disgusted. He said he was taking money from their joint emergency account and sending us back $12,000 immediately. He said he couldn't access the rest because Ashley had already paid the contractor and ordered materials. I didn't know what to say. He said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. If I had known, I would have never allowed it." I believed him. The $12,000 came through that night. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to keep the surgery date if we could find the rest quickly. What happened next is something I still don't fully know how to feel about. Emily made a post. Not a vague post. Not a dramatic post. Just the truth. She posted a photo of Noah holding a handmade countdown to surgery calendar he had made. Then she wrote that his surgery fund had been stolen by relatives, that we were pursuing legal action, and that we were trying to cover the remaining amount so his operation would not be delayed. She did not name my mother or Ashley. She didn't have to. People figured it out fast. Within hours, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and even parents from Noah's school started messaging us. Some donated $10. Some donated $50. One of my co-workers sent $1,000 and wrote, "My brother had surgery as a kid. Don't let pride stop you." I cried when I read that. By the next evening, we had raised enough to cover the gap. Emily and I sat on the kitchen floor and sobbed from exhaustion and relief. Noah came in and asked if someone died. Emily hugged him and said, "No, sweetheart. People were kind. The surgery happened. It was long. It was terrifying. It was one of the worst and best days of my life. When the doctor came out and said everything had gone well, I felt like my body finally remembered how to breathe." Noah's recovery is still ongoing. It's painful and slow, but he's doing better than expected. 2 days ago, he walked 10 steps with assistance and grinned like he had won the Olympics. Meanwhile, my family has completely imploded. Mark moved out of the house he shares with Ashley. The kitchen remodel is unfinished. Half the cabinets are missing. There are boxes everywhere. Apparently the contractor walked off the job after Mark refused to pay more. Ashley has been posting quotes online about betrayal, loyalty, and people showing their true colors. My mother is furious that people in town know what happened. She says Emily ruined her reputation. I told her she ruined her reputation when she stole from a child. The police investigation is still ongoing. The bank is involved. Our lawyer says it may become a civil case depending on how things proceed, but we are not dropping it. My mother keeps sending long messages. Some are apologies. Some are guilt trips. Some are angry. One said, "I hope one day Noah understands I never meant to hurt him." I didn't answer. Because the truth is, intention doesn't erase damage. If you take money meant for a child's surgery and give it to someone for a luxury remodel, you hurt that child. It doesn't matter if you cried while doing it. It doesn't matter if you plan to pay it back. It doesn't matter if you call it a loan. It was theft. A few days ago, Noah asked why Grandma hasn't visited. I told him, Grandma made some very bad choices, and we need some space. He thought about that and said, "Did she say sorry?" I said, "She did." He asked, "Did she fix it?" I didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Sorry means you try to fix it." 8 years old. Smarter than all the adults who told me to forgive and move on. So no, I'm not forgiving yet. Maybe someday I'll feel differently. But right now, my priority is my son, his recovery, and making sure no one in my family ever gets access to our lives like that again. My mother keeps saying I chose money over family. But she's wrong. I chose my child over the people who thought his pain was negotiable.